Welcome to Data Protection Gumbo, the podcast where we cook up a delicious blend of cybersecurity, privacy, and data protection topics to serve you a hearty bowl of insights. Whether you like your gumbo spicy with a dash of encryption or prefer a milder flavor with a side of compliance, we've got you covered. So grab a spoon, sit back, and let's dive into the pot of data protection gumbo.
Welcome to Data Protection Gumbo. I'm your host, Dmitry Panenkov, and on this episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dmitry Panenkov. He is the CEO at Emma, and he is a frequent speaker at industry events, including Web Summit, SaaS Stock, MPLS Congress, and Mobile World Congress, and also an MBA lecturer as well. And Emma is an enterprise multi-cloud management application, and Dmitry has assembled a fantastic team of highly skilled professionals to create the world's first end-to-end no-code platform, enabling organizations to leverage the advantages of multi-cloud without the associated complexities and security risks. And Dmitry is also passionate about sports, and especially karate and capoeira. Fancy. So don't mess with Dmitry. All right. So welcome to the Gumbo. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. And also let's start off. So tell me about the journey of Emma and why was the company started, I guess, first and foremost.
Yeah. Thanks for this question. That actually, that's a really long story, but let me try to make it short. So 5 years back, I was working for one big American company covering the sales and the business development in one of the biggest regions in the world. My customers, they were like really big corporate accounts, like the huge financial organizations, cloud service providers, social networks, so all the biggest accounts you can imagine. And we were building the networking equipment for the data center interconnects. Usually these customers, they usually have the few data centers, few clouds, and they want to have all these environments connected with each other, and they use the networking switches. And starting from 2018, all these customers, they were reaching us out and asking, okay, guys, so you're producing the networking equipment, but we need something that works on top of the networking equipment that helps us to manage different environments, because right now we have a lot of different clouds in use. We have a lot of different applications, services, whatever, and we don't know how to manage all this stuff. We have a lot of people working with the different accounts. We have a lot of engineers who create the new accounts at the cloud service providers. They use the credit cards of our company, and we are overwhelmed with these invoices. So please help us. And unfortunately, these days, there were no solutions on the market that could fit into these requirements. And that's how I started my own company as myself, as a main, let's say, person working as an engineer. And then, I hired a few guys. We've built a minimum viable prototype, showed it to someone, got a feedback. Then we rebuilt it. Then again, showed it to someone. Then again, got a feedback. So we had a lot of these back and forth interactions with the different customers. But in return, by the end of the day, we got the complete feature set that is required for the majority of these sort of companies, enterprises. And then we've spent like 3.5 years in hard development and released the platform in 2021 in November during the Web Summit. So that's the long story short about us.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a great story. And as you were speaking there, I was also thinking about some of the challenges and complexities of managing, software infrastructure, hardware infrastructure, so on-premises and also cloud, multi-clouds, all the different CSP vendors, et cetera. And then not to mention all the different applications that companies are running today, that it's completely like ludicrous to have a team to manage all of the digital infrastructure that's managing these corporations from small to large businesses as well. And so one thing that I do want to find out from you, just overall, so as customers and organizations move to the cloud and everyone's, moving workloads to the cloud. So there's a lot of cloud adoption that's going on right now. And I've even heard the opposite, that repatriation is happening as well, that people are going from the cloud back to on-premises because they're finding out that the cost of managing large amounts of data and workloads and infrastructure and systems in the cloud also can be very costly. So how does your platform, I guess, plug into that overall structure of adopting that cloud journey?
So, yeah, that's an interesting one, and thanks for mentioning this. So, look, we believe that there are two different universes, and those universes, they are not connected with each other. So the first universe is a cloud native universe. So you have all these guys that were born in the cloud. They use the different cloud service providers. They do use these containers, clusters. They know what Lambda is, what functions are. So all these things. They use the native provider services, etc. So on the other hand, there is another universe, the legacy universe, the universe of the big guys. These guys, they have been hardly investing in the hardware for the decades. Those great big companies, even like Apple, right? So they all have their own data centers on premises, whatever environments, legacy applications, and those applications, they are not suitable for the cloud native technologies. So, for instance, it's really hard to move the legacy Oracle database, for instance, into the Kubernetes cluster. Nearly impossible sometimes. Yeah, and so those two universes, they exist. And the interesting thing is that the guys from the second universe, those big enterprises, they understand that sometimes these cloud native guys, they move faster, they acquire customers faster, they get a bigger revenue because they can test the hypothesis faster, because they don't need to buy the servers each time. They don't need to keep this overhead in their environments to scale the workloads if it's a Black Friday or whatever, right? So in this sense, these guys from the universe second universe, they want to take all the advantages from the first guys, and they are trying to lift and shift the workloads into the cloud. And this is a perfect scenario for Emma, where we can help them to lift and shift the workloads, even if it's legacy, because we can get the private environment connected to the to Emma, and then we do this bridge between the clouds, and we do the migration of the plain VMs, of applications, of any sort of workloads into the cloud. And we can even scale the workloads where you have the sensitive data inside your data center, and you scale the nodes when you see this spikes or the bursts in the traffic when you acquire the new customers. So this is something that we do for these guys. On the other hand, and you've mentioned this, the cloud native guys, they suddenly realized, okay, the cloud is not that cheap, and the cloud is not that simple, right? And they found themselves overspending, and they began to think, okay, what is the next step? So how can we reduce the costs? And the obvious answer here, buy the servers. Because if you look at the TCO of a cloud, comparing to the TCO of hardware servers for a 5 years plus period of time, you clearly see that servers are cheaper. And for the big companies, like a Basecamp, for instance, Datadog, Snowflake, it is cheaper to switch back into the data center hardware instead of being 100% in a cloud. It was an interesting article by Anderson Horowitz where they got this information about the cost of revenue for all these software companies like Datadog and Snowflake. And it looks like they are spending like 50% of their revenue on the clouds. And that's a huge amount of money they spend. But in this sense, they have another problem. Okay, you're moving back to on-premises, but how? Who will help you? What kind of technologies will you be using there? Do you have their plain like Kubernetes? Do you have the functions there? No, you don't. So do you have like AKS, EKS? So all these managed services you really love and you really enjoy with AWS, Azure, Google, whomever else. No, you don't. So you need to build this from the scratch, and you don't know how to build them because you were using something, and right now you don't have that. And the only let's say solution that exists there is a VMware. VMware is a king and a god or whatever, and you would need to adopt the VMware. You would need to be locked in to this solution, right? Even if it's a VMware Tons or whatever. And in this sense, Emma also is a perfect fit because that's a level of abstraction that helps customers to be like cloud agnostic, stay cloud agnostic. So you can do whatever you want. You can provision all your cloud environments, get all these services connected with each other, scale your applications the way you want. You want to use the Terraform? Please do. You want to use the Kubernetes on top of like private, public, whatever, hybrid cloud? No problems. So that's how we have those two, let's say, universes to evolve.
Okay, yeah, that's a great explanation. Two different universes, and sometimes I feel that the universes are colliding, and maybe there's a third universe as well, where things have gone quantum, and the two are intermingled together. And the third one actually is one that would take both of those universes and kind of speed that one up into like this hyper quantum super fast way of operating that deals with just overall the data, right? And then bringing in artificial intelligence and machine learning to kind of manage all of that under the covers some type of way. But the question I have for you mentioned like lifting and shifting workloads, moving workloads, and also the whole cloud native and Kubernetes and containerized way of doing things as well. What are some of the, or maybe the biggest challenge when it comes to determining which application is lifted and shifted that you've seen through your conversations with some of your customers?
So look, this is an interesting and a difficult question at the same time, because you do the migrations rarely. You don't do the migrations every single day, right? You do the migrations for the specific purposes and for the specific applications. And actually, if you have any other option but the migration, you would stick with this other option. Because again, so you need to be sure that when you migrate something, that will be deployed the way it worked before. That your customers, no matter if it is like internal customers or if the customers are like external customers, paid users, whomever else, that they can get all the benefits out of these applications the same way they got it before. So for these specific reasons, we had a few sorts of the migrations. So first of all, we can do the migrations based on the Kubernetes, whatever stuff. And our networking backbone, we actually have the networking backbone that connects physically the clouds with each other. So we have our network. And this network really helps to like scale the workloads, to migrate the workloads between the providers, to migrate the applications in the containers or like Kubernetes clusters. That's the easy one.
Is that in all public clouds, AWS, Azure, and GCP?
Yeah, we do support AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Alibaba Cloud. We do support the local European providers. So we are based in Luxembourg, so definitely we do support the local providers. And we do support the VMware public clouds, and we do support the VMware as a private cloud, so meaning the vSphere. So yeah, we do support all those.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So again.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah. You can migrate the containers and the clusters. That's the easy one. One of the most difficult cases is where you have the bare metal server with the legacy application, or you have the VM with a legacy application, and in your private cloud, and you need to somehow migrate it into the public cloud to get all the benefits of a cloud, right? Because that's maybe cheaper for you. And in this sense, we have invented the engine that migrates those legacy workloads, those legacy applications with the entire VM into the cloud or between the clouds sometimes if you need that. And that's the different story. This is something that we have invented, and it works on behalf of our customers and really helps them. But again, that's not the most common use case, and you prefer to do anything else instead of doing these migrations.
And so it has to be on a virtual machine, though, on premises already.
It could be the bare metal, it could be the virtual machine. The easy one with the cluster container, whatever.
Awesome. That sounds like a magic solution. You should have people beating down your door to kind of help out with this. Also, one other question I have for you as well is that as you see the entire industry shifting and changing just overall with the trends that are happening right now, as I mentioned earlier, AI and ML is like really hot right now. Everyone's talking about artificial intelligence and security. I guess AI has slightly knocked security off of its pedestal. More people are talking about AI now than they are talking about security, and maybe it's neck and neck now as well. But what are some of the trends that you are seeing as you continue to have conversations about where the workloads are running and all the different types of applications and data that individual companies are actually using on their environments?
So I prefer to be quite, conservative here. So first of all, sometimes what we call AI is not AI in the sense of what this application is capable to do, right? Because artificial intelligence is a bit bigger than just a machine learning algorithm, and is significantly bigger than just logistics regression or something that lies in the bottom of the technology, right? So in the most cases, even the most famous cases you can mention right now, it's not the AI, it's a machine learning algorithm in most of these cases. Definitely those tools, they are supportive, and definitely if you're a networking or security or cloud professional, you can get all the benefits using these machine learning algorithms, or if we want to call it AI, let's call it AI, on behalf of your company, your project, your application, whatever. So it definitely streamlines a lot of operations and processes, especially with all these plugins, add-ons, whatever you can get on top of these algorithms. What we see on the other side of the moon of this trend, right? Let's say, as far as we are using those algorithms, they becoming bigger, right? And these algorithms, they are using the hardware that exists in a specific data centers. So they utilize the GPU accelerators, they utilize the server capacities, so they utilize all these resources. And unfortunately, there's a huge lack of these resources on the market right now. And what we see is the beginning of a, let's say, of a cold winter where we will be fighting with each other, especially these AI startups, they will be fighting with each other for those resources. Because have a look, the biggest models, they are developed by the biggest companies right now, right? So Google, Microsoft, Facebook. So these guys, they are developing these products. And definitely they have the capacities. And definitely they are doing whatever, even Tesla, they are doing whatever it takes to get those resources for their models, because it's the most important thing right now for everyone. So imagine there is the vendor like NVIDIA who produces those GPU accelerators. So how do you think, who will get the most of those GPU resources and accelerators? Not an AI startup, right? But the Microsoft and the other
big guys.
Yeah, and what should all these guys, I mean, the smaller companies and all of us, what should we do in this sense? The only thing that appears in my mind when I'm describing this is to go like cloud and resource agnostic, where you can get the certain piece of the, let's say, GPU accelerator from one provider, second provider, third provider. Then you can aggregate those pieces with each other, build in the single logical GPU accelerator for your workloads. That's what we see as an upcoming trend. So the lack of resources that would drive people to start looking for the solutions to get the remaining smaller pieces of the environments from the different service providers, let's call it like this.
Awesome. That's I like that. A cold winter for for the cloud industry, maybe. And go ahead.
Not only for the cloud industry, but I mean for the entire technology industry.
Okay. Yeah. All right, and let's begin to wrap up. And I've enjoyed this conversation, and also I ask most of the guests that I have on the show. I'm super interested in learning. So what are you reading nowadays, Dmitry?
So look, I read a lot of different books, and I saw that you have This is Marketing. Here's the top book there on the table. And that this is a good one. But my favorite book is The Hard Thing About the Hard Things. Ben Horowitz wrote this book. It's one of the best books I have ever read, and this is something I would suggest to everyone. I mean, especially the entrepreneurs, startuppers, so anyone who wants to understand what it feels to build something.
Awesome. I appreciate that book recommendation as well. And one final call out for you. How can Gumbo listeners get access to Emma?
So it's super easy. They can go directly to our webpage. It's emma.ms. There is a sign up button, so they can sign up, leave the details, get an access to our platform, and get a 50 cloud credits, which is equivalent of $50 or euros. It depends where your listeners are. And yeah, they can start using Emma right away. No any restrictions, nothing. So that just works.
Well, awesome. And also, before I close out, everyone out there listening as well, please make sure you go out to LinkedIn and check out our Backup and Recovery Professionals LinkedIn group. There are over 25,000 like-minded professionals there within that group. It's one that I run, that I created as well. And also, please feel free to go out to Apple Podcast and leave a review for us as well. And we also have some videos on YouTube as well. So go check those videos out. And actually, I did record a podcast and have a YouTube video out there with David Hannemeyer Hansen. I'm sure you've heard of him before. Dmitry, and he's like a big spokesperson for repatriation because he runs Basecamp in Hay, and they have moved a lot of their workloads from the cloud back to on premises. So that's a big conversation that's going on as well. So Dmitry, thank you so much for...
We had a recent conversation with him.
Oh, you did? Well, maybe we should have talked about that.
Yeah, we had a recent conversation with him, when they announced they are shifting back from the cloud. Yeah.
Nice. Well, maybe we can do a future episode on that conversation or how that went. All right. So thanks for being a guest on Data Protection Gumbo, and all the listeners out there. Until next time, continue to back up your workloads and stay secure as well. So thanks for listening in.